Live from New York, it's the show that wants to read you a tweet. The 49ers believe QB Mac Jones is still capable of being a starter. Oh, Wilds, don't put it in the show. You don't control this part of the show, do you? No topic bars or anything. Hey, when's the last time you heard that? Oh, Sam Darnold? Then what happened? 14 wins, and now he's starting in Seattle? Maybe he'll be on Nick's most intriguing games coming up at 4 o'clock.
He's not going to see the field. He's behind Brock Purdy.
Same with Sam Darnold. It's the Sam Darnold trajectory.
Okay, so he'll practice well and then go to another team next year.
4,000 yards and 14 wins. Sean's reporting this morning that Giannis is open to exploring his basketball future outside of Milwaukee. Here are the details. He's got 3 years left on his contract, which pays him around $175 million. He has a player option for 27-28. So what is your reaction to the report that Giannis is open to leaving before we talk about where he could go?
I think this is oddly and kind of sadly, but realistically, the best thing that could happen for the Bucks.
Really? Huh.
Yes, because they're stuck. They don't have their draft picks basically over the next half decade. Even if one is as optimistic about Dame's recovery as I think Dame is, it's still next year's gone. You know what I mean? Next year's wiped out. And they have no path to get to championship contention during Giannis's prime, which means their quickest path back to one-day contention is moving Giannis when he is at his value peak or close to it. And I can't imagine he was ever much more valuable, maybe right after the championship. But it's still going to be a historic trade haul. It's not like, okay, he's great, but we saw some cracks this year. No, I would argue he's a better player since the championship. That he just hasn't had the results. So the reason I'm saying it's best case is if he doesn't open the door, they can't kick it down. They can't go through it. If Giannis came out on the record and said, I hope to be a Milwaukee Buck the rest of my career, I will never demand a trade, that would be short-term, exciting and fun for the Bucks, but long-term, I don't want to say pointless because there's a point having him there, but you wouldn't have this opportunity. So it's a sad moment and a tough moment for Bucks fans, but ultimately I think a positive one, Brew.
I actually agree with you. They don't control their own draft pick, their first rounders for like the next 5 years or so. Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez will be free agents this summer. They've gone through a coaching carousel. Obviously, it didn't work out with Doc. He's still there, but we'll see, do they make a change? Like, Dame is out basically all of next year. They are stuck, as Nick said. And so this is good for them. And there are teams, now, maybe this is always the case, but there are teams that can present some nice packages. Like, what they should want is a young star or two and picks. And there are teams that can provide them with that. And the fans will, obviously miss Giannis. But the intelligent fans understand what Nick and I said. Like, we're really not going anywhere. And Giannis gave them 12 years. That's 6 more than Kareem, then Lou Alcindor gave them. He gave them a championship, first one in 50 years or so. So, look, you got what you wanted for him. And if you work together, he'll put you in position to rebuild yourselves in the Eastern Conference. And so I actually think it's good for both of them. And good for Giannis because if he does go ahead and say, I want out, this shows to me, this really shows some competitiveness. That, man, I want to be in that top 10 of all-time conversation. His numbers are ridiculous, but he's got to win championships. And, you've heard Bobby Portis said he wants to win a bunch of championships. I don't know if it's Portis, but somebody said he wants to. And Portis said he wants to stay in one place. But I think he's got to get out of there. The time is now.
All right, just before we move on to the teams where he could go, is there any possible way that the Bucks could do something, whether it's Dame's contract or they just mortgage the future even more than they already have, that Giannis can get more help, or is that just
I don't think that path exists. I think they are on, to use the mortgage term, they're already on their second mortgage and there are some liens on the property. You know what I mean? Like they went all in smartly to get Drew, and they won a championship.
Yep.
They then took the little bit of asset maneuverability they had left to go get Dame. They then took a last gasp like payday loan in the Chris Middleton-Kuzma trade, honestly, where it's like, this guy's hurt. At least this guy theoretically can give us a shot in the arm. And so, no, like and by the way, I don't blame them for any of those moves. The Drew trade obviously worked, won him a championship. The Dame move, the day it happened, we all thought it made them the favorites. It just didn't play out that way. And so I understand every step they made, but it got them here. And I think they always knew they might end up here. They just thought they'd end up here with maybe 2 championships, which if Middleton doesn't get hurt when they're defending their title,
that's hurt them
and if Giannis doesn't get injuries hurt, in his back a couple years ago, maybe they do.
You know what else is interesting? And I'm not saying this to try to pile on Doc Rivers. But Adrian Griffin, their record was much better. Even though they obviously weren't satisfied, they fired him. But they were 30-13 at that point.
And they thought
they've been significantly less under Doc. And so I'm not going to say they would have won a championship. I don't necessarily believe that. But it would have been interesting to see how things played out.
All right, so let's look forward and see where Giannis could go if he's looking to recreate this championship run. Nick, which teams offer him the best chance to recapture what we're watching right now?
Okay, so listen. Basically, all 29 teams would love to have Giannis. So we're going to start with, I think it's 14 teams that theoretically, if he went there, even after they traded stuff away, could contend for a championship. We can show you those teams right now. I said 14, I'm not sure. Oh, it's 13. So Thunder, Cavs, Celtics, Rockets, Knicks, Lakers, Nuggets, Pacers, Clippers, Timberwolves, Golden State, San Antonio, Philly. The one team that's not on there people say should be, I might say should be, is Miami. The problem, in my opinion, for Miami is to get Giannis, you have to trade Bam and a bunch of other stuff, and then he's not in a better spot than he is now. So now, Wilds, we're going to do some process of elimination stuff. Here we go. First group to get eliminated is your favorite group. This is the That Damn Apron group. So that takes out Cleveland, Boston, and Minnesota. Those teams, because of second apron restrictions, there's not a trade to be made that's realistic that allows for that, okay? So that group is gone.
Even like an Anthony Edwards trade.
Anthony doesn't make enough money.
Okay.
And you can't, if you are the second apron team, you can't combine salaries to get one.
Right. Gotcha.
You hate this stuff, so I didn't explain it. Yeah, but
I appreciate it.
The next group is the bigger group, which is the flatly don't have the assets to give up. So that's the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Clippers, and the Warriors. Like yes, the Lakers could trade Luka for Giannis, I suppose, but that doesn't that's not, for Giannis's purposes, that doesn't put him in a drastically better position, and they're not doing that, especially because they actually can't trade Luka if they sign him to an extension this offseason. The Nuggets can't trade. There's no one that makes sense that they can trade. Go ahead, Brew.
Well, I see 2 teams left on there that I'm a little surprised. And I know they have played the Knicks.
Okay, so I'll get to them in a second.
And the Sixers a bit too.
Clippers don't have the people to trade, and the Warriors. I know people love talking about the Warriors. The Warriors flatly do not have the assets to trade. So that leaves 6 teams. We have to eliminate one more, and this is what we call we hate each other, and Halliburton's daddy ruined it. Pacers are out of there. So that leaves us.
Not going from Milwaukee.
Right.
It'd be the Durant thing. Right. A poor man's Durant. You're not even going to a champion. Right?
So that leaves Oklahoma City, Houston, the Knicks, the Spurs, and the Sixers. Now I have trades available for all these teams about what I think it would look like, where those teams would still be contenders. I don't know, Brew, how you want to take this. You seemed questioning the Knicks. But
well, I understand if you're talking about a Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
And here's the problem. To me, what Milwaukee should be looking for is a young star, young. And Towns isn't old. He's still in his prime. Yeah. But getting Karl Anthony Towns is a win-now move. And in any of their other players, Hart, Anunoby, whoever you might throw in, That's about winning now, and I don't think they're going to be ready to win now.
So, and the Knicks,
and then the picks, the Knicks don't have the pick.
Right. So throw up the Knicks trade first, and then we can go through some of the other ones. It would be Towns and McBride, and all the Knicks can offer him is swaps, which are not that valuable. But that's I
don't want Towns. As good as he is, if I'm starting over, I don't want.
Okay, so that leaves us with 4 left. The Sixers one, let's just do that because that's one no one's really talking about, but it's potentially intriguing, which is Maxey, the kid who looked like he was going to win Rookie of the Year. McCain, Ricky counts was just for salaries. And then Philly can include their first this year after they make it, which will be a top 6 pick, unless the lottery odds screw them. The Clippers first rounder in 28, and the ability to swap with the Clippers in 29. That's depending on how bullish you are about the Clippers.
29.
That could be, and how bullish you are on Maxey. That could be intriguing. So, and Daryl Morey's like, get me 3 stars. And then before I get to the 2 teams I know you're focused on, here's the most fun one, Kevin Wildes.
This one's pretty fun. Now we got Giannis and Embiid on the same team.
Giannis and Paul George. But do you want to talk about this one for a minute, Brew, before we get to the other ones?
Yeah, I mean, I really like Maxey. It's okay. I wouldn't. I mean,
it feels like Milwaukee can do better.
Yes,
that's the thing. It feels like Milwaukee can do better. So here's the simplest one there is.
Send Şengün.
I'm not. No.
What?
Hold on. You were totally.
You
fine
wouldn't
with
give up
Şengün.
Şengün.
I just want to see a scenario where Şengün stays and plays with Giannis. I don't even know if that's what you're doing.
No, that's not what I'm doing, and I'm not even going to Houston yet because I know Brew wants to focus on it. I want to go to a team that it looked like might have been down 3-1 and been called regular season frauds until a pretty good fourth quarter. Throw up the Oklahoma City one. This one's pretty simple. No picks. Giannis for Shea. Giannis for Shea.
Why?
Let's talk about it. What do you mean why? Why for who?
Why give up Shea?
If you're Oklahoma City?
Yeah.
Well, if they lose this round and he's I think Giannis is better than Shea.
He is, but I want both. I can give them Chet Holmgren and a bunch of picks, and we can throw in some other stuff, maybe even Jalen if I have to. But I'm not giving up Shea. So, I just think too, Shea, Chet. I mean, if you want to have Giannis bring the ball up.
So here's I think one of the problems for Oklahoma City if you don't include Shea. Nobody else makes a ton, so it's like 4 players you've got to trade. It's because Chet doesn't make enough yet, so it's like Chet plus Dort, plus Caruso, plus another guy. And again, I also don't know how exciting that is to Milwaukee. If you're Milwaukee, you're like, we don't have our picks, we have the league MVP. It feels a little Anthony Davis, Luka. You wouldn't trade Shea for Giannis?
I think Giannis is better. I don't think that fits.
Oh, okay.
Giannis, Chet, Hartenstein. I mean, they're tall as all get out.
They were already the best defensive team
they
in the
have,
league.
What are we doing?
No.
15 first-round picks.
And they wouldn't trade any of them.
But why not just? I'd give a bunch.
I'd give up a ton of picks.
I'd give a ton of picks and keep
Chet,
SGA.
If I have to give up Hartenstein, and again, I do agree with you that Giannis is better, but he's also older. He's not about to win the MVP, and Shea he's a great fit there, and I understand that. I just think if I were the Thunder, I'd be like, he's not that much older than Shea, and he's better. And then there's the 2 that Brew likes the most, and the ones everyone's talking about. Houston, which is a pretty straightforward one, and that's the best package so far other than the Shea package. And you're saying you want to keep Şengün. I think Şengün and Giannis are a little redundant.
Similar. I know.
And then neither shoots you have them both on the court at the same time. Yeah. Those Phoenix picks are great. That's the one you want.
If I'm Milwaukee, I want, instead of Landau, I want Jabari Smith Jr.
Oh, now you're giving up a lot.
Hey, you want to get? I mean, you are Houston is right there.
I was taking everybody
as far as the championship.
But then you're not going to get both of the Phoenix picks.
Why?
If you're,
you can.
You know what I mean?
Okay, maybe.
Because at some point you can't give up you can't give up. Şengün's an all-star. Reed Shepard's a top 5 pick. Those Phoenix picks are wildly valuable. If you're also making me give up Jabari Smith, right?
I might give back one of those. I mean, if I can get Smith because he's a shooter, he looked good in the last series. Şengün is inside, can't shoot.
Yep.
Reed Shepherd, if I'm Milwaukee, I love him because I actually think he's going to be good. But I'm downplaying him to Houston. Like, I don't know if this kid can play and then get on the court for you. But those two with Jabari, that's like 3 young starters.
Yep.
And then I got a bunch of picks. So I love that. But
there's one more.
I might like the other one.
All right, here's
better.
the last one. And this one, it's kind of a potpourri of picks. Keep in mind, you could maybe replace some of those with, depending on how the lottery balls bounce tonight, where the Spurs pick ends up being. Spurs have a 26% chance of top 4 and 6% chance of number 1 overall. Right now, they're slotted at if the lottery stays static, at the 8th pick. So we could maybe change it. So it really depends on, what path Milwaukee wants to take. This is the picks and Stephon Castle build around.
Barnes only has 1 year left.
Yeah.
That's kind of a salary dump.
And so those are to me your realistic possibilities. And by the way, before you go, all of these trades work. By that work, I mean salaries match, and they're not fake made up. Like, you put them into the trade machines and they worked. Go ahead.
What I would like to see, and I honestly I would love either one of those Texas teams, the Spurs or the Rockets. I personally would love to see them in San Antonio. I mean, can you imagine that defense with Wemby and Giannis?
Amazing.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking with OKC.
Ridiculous.
But
neither. I mean, Chet is a good defender, and obviously Hardenstein's playing great against Jokić. But I just think you lose a lot of offense with Shea. Like, who's getting your shot now? We know Giannis doesn't really have a go-to shot. But San Antonio would be phenomenal. If I'm Giannis, I'm like, that's a franchise that obviously is a tremendous franchise. Pop is still there. They've been great with international players.
Yep.
For Wemby could possibly, and actually should, win championships as a young player with Giannis, and then you transition and he becomes the number 1 guy,
and
Giannis is with him.
It's like a Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, kind of. And now, if I'm Milwaukee, though, I like
Rockets.
Houston's better.
Yeah.
Şengün is a legit star that I'm not saying he can't even become more than a star. Like,
and how
he
much
is
better would
great.
he be in the East?
Yeah, I mean, he'd kill. And then you're getting Shepherd and maybe Jabari Smith and all those people. Like, if I'm Milwaukee, I want Houston, and I think they'll work with Giannis, and Houston would be an immediate contender, right, with him. So I think that could work. That's probably what I see happening.
Okay. More news as the story develops. Right now we're talking about Thunder Nuggets. Thunder tied the series 2-2 with a Game 4 win in Denver. SGA was great in the 4th. Jokić on one of the coldest streaks of his career, shooting below 40% on 15 or more shots for his 3rd straight game. It's the first time in his career that has happened. Your reaction, bro?
Well, we've never seen him struggle like this. And it shows that as great as he is, size, when somebody is as big as him, and I don't think Hardenstein's as strong as him, but, he's got some strength, that bothers him because he's not used to seeing that in
Plus
today's
another
NBA.
tall guy.
Right, so Hardenstein's got you, and then Chet can always come to help. And they're a great defensive team as it is. So you're just not in today's NBA used to banging down low like that. I mean, Embiid destroys him when they play. He goes for 40 all the time against Jokić. And you saw Zubac give him trouble too. And I think he's a bit, it's not an excuse. I'm not making any excuses for him. But I think it's wearing him down a little bit. And he's having to play a little faster than he's used to playing. And that's why his shots are short. He's missing free throws more than he usually does. But here's the deal. When it comes to Giannis, when it comes to LeBron, when it comes to Luka, we get on them. Steph, when they don't deliver. If they lose this series, and I get it, Oklahoma City, even though I've picked Denver, looks like the better team.
Yes.
I mean, close, but they are, even the game 3 that they lost, they led most, it's close. Denver would tie it, and then OKC would go ahead. Like, they look slightly better. But the games are close enough, and Aaron Gordon's playing the best ball of his life. Jokić is the guy for Denver that's not playing to his normal level. And so if they lose this, it's on him because it's right there for them. They're the more experienced team, and so they can win this if he will be who he usually is.
And listen, so a couple of things bouncing off what you said. It's the first time he struggled in a series since the 2020 Lakers series, where they had Anthony Davis playing the role of Chet Holmgren and Dwight Howard playing the role of Isaiah Hartenstein. Now, you know what I mean? Where it's you could throw two. It's what Darvin Ham thought they were going to do with Rui playing one of those roles. But it was like that you have a guy who can alter a shot and then a guy who can bump him. Like, that's a hard path for anybody. It is a reminder that in my lifetime, and honestly, Brew, maybe even your lifetime, there's only two guys who went damn near a decade and never had a bad series. Jordan from 90 to 98, LeBron from 12 to 20. Whoever else your favorite player is, it is littered with bad series here, bad series there, and we got kind of, we went straight from Jordan basically into LeBron. Shaq had like a 4-year stretch of it. Duncan had a 3-year stretch of it, but we're talking about 5, 6, 7 years, and it's like, oh, that guy was never bad. It's really only, not even Kareem could say that. So it's not an indictment of Jokić. It is a bummer for Jokić because had he played better yesterday, they're in great shape to win a championship. They're up 3-1. I will be picking them against whomever comes out of the other, not whomever.
Well, that'll be interesting because Minnesota's had their number.
Yes, but I think Minnesota has played poorly in 4 straight games now, and somehow they're up 2-1. Right, and the East, we don't know who's coming out of it. Like, they were going to be in, you think you know who's coming out of it, but they were going to be, and they still might. I was saying Denver just wants to make it a best of 5, then a best of 3, then a best of 1. But they had an opportunity after scoring 8 points in the first quarter, being up 6 in the third. It's an opportunity to seize control when Shea wasn't good and Jalen Williams was terrible, and they couldn't quite close. So that's just a bummer. It's not an indictment on him, but it's a bummer. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.